G'day and welcome to Aussie Vision. Today we're going to be looking at the live on tapes that happened on the weekend and picking out some of the best performances that we saw there. All 39 except for 2, UK and Ireland, were showcased over the weekend with the semi-finalists on the Friday night and of course the grand finalists on the Saturday night, and we got to look at them all for the first time except for Australia, which we had already seen, of course. So how did Australia stack up against them? Well, let's look at some of the top ones that maybe didn't quite get up to that level, but it's pretty good. But let's talk about some of the really big ones here. Have to start with Ukraine. Goe and Shum was absolutely fantastic, just out of this world. The smaller, sort of tighter shots and that worked better. The LED use with the wall and the floor looked even better. I thought this was even better than it was in Rotterdam, and if it was a backup vision this year, I think Goe would have won the televote. I don't think they would have won still overall, but I think they would have won the televote. It was that good. A really good performance there from them. So to me, they were top of the table. Absolutely smashed the backup tape. Next up, surprisingly good was Italy again, Måneskin. Look, I am a fan of this, but I was really worried how it would come across in a kind of a live on tape TV studio performance, and I thought it was fantastic. They still gave the rock and roll. You could see the concept was there. There was still even pyros, and it just showed it was very much about themselves and them as an act, and they just brought it bigger in Rotterdam. But they did a great job here. Worthy second place of the backup vision ones, and I still think they would have taken it out once you combined a jury and televote if we had a backup vision this year. But have to say, Ukraine edged them out there on the backup tapes. Look, there's a lot of really good ones here as well. Have to put it out there to Serbia. They did a great job of pulling together theirs in that environment with the light boxes as well. Have to say, Belgium looked really good for that kind of small, intimate setting. I think it really suited their song really well, and they gave a great performance. It probably worked a bit better than it did on the Rotterdam stage. Well, who else we got here? Got to say Bulgaria, bringing that stone and that staging into a backup tape environment, absolutely fantastic. They did such a good job and should be applauded there. Victoria and her team, that looked really good. Also, Lithuania, they basically replicated the stage of Rotterdam in Lithuania. How serious were they taking this? And it looked great. Look, it wasn't anything new. It looked like it did, but in its way, that's amazing. And have to also say for Germany, who used the stage, they came across a lot better as well. I was really impressed with Germany's backup tape. I thought it was really good, and it made my top 10 of the grand finalists. Really enjoyed that. Cyprus, I thought their concept was great, and they put it into this more smallest sort of stage setting. Didn't have all the whiz-bang of the Rotterdam, but of course I still think it looks really good, and they did an incredible job there. So well done to Cyprus. And I think that's everyone I've kind of gone through on that list. But then let's talk about Australia amongst those. I thought the Australian tape really stood out. The more and more that we saw of other people's lives on tapes where they didn't really look like they would have fitted into the show really well, like would have stuck out, I thought what the Australian team and Montaigne did was fantastic. It worked really well with the show. I think it was probably in the top 10 of the live on tapes. I might be biased being Australian, but the production was great. It looked fantastic, and she sounded incredible. Absolutely incredible. But the biggest glow up, other than Australia, has to be Poland. What was that? That was incredible what they put together. Rafał was moving less. He was concentrating on delivering a simple vocal, not trying to do too much. The choreography wasn't as crazy, but it was still all really well put together. He sounded good. It looked good. I probably would have voted for it. I really enjoyed it. It was a bit of a guilty pleasure, but done well, where maybe in Rotterdam it was a guilty pleasure, not done so well. So well done, Poland. That was a great backup tape. Definitely better than the main performance there. Hats off to some that did a really good job, but really replicated their national final. France and Finland and Norway and Denmark, countries like that. It was all very good. We'd just seen it before, so hard to get excited by it, but well executed and well done again. While on the downside, I think you saw some of the countries that maybe hadn't got their whole staging concept quite together by March, and maybe that kind of showed in a way. Malta, I was really surprised not to see dancers. I thought Destiny looked great and it sounded really good, and she sounded fantastic, but she was just kind of left out there on her own. So yeah, for someone gunning so much to win, they didn't really count on the backup tape, I don't think, really there. Also, Iceland, really showed that it needed the big stage and the LEDs because it kind of fell flat in that environment, and they should just count themselves very lucky they had the rehearsal footage, because a backup tape would not have got them fourth place. But hey, that was always made for the big stage there. Really interesting to see all these different backup tapes, and it's wonderful to have this kind of second Eurovision this weekend. We'll just keep reliving it, but ultimately it all came down to what happened in the Ahoy Arena, and Italy were the winners and France was second, and Ukraine obviously were a bit further down. So but what a performance by Ukraine, and wonderful to have these backup tapes. Anyway, that's it for today, and we'll see you over the off season.